So you guys know what it is, another one of these comprehensive reviews of almost all of the new releases in Creation Club. I say almost because I will not cover some of the tedious and like nickel and dime things such as new Pip-Boy paint jobs, new Power Armor paint jobs. You get a free version for that, and I honestly just feel like reviewing that isn't worth my time. Either way, this was actually a pretty big new release or kind of bundle of releases for Creation Club. We got 3 new creations totaling 1,600 Creation Club credits in cost, which is pretty bulky. The only time we ever got something that even rivaled this was probably around the release of Creation Club, where they just had a bunch of stuff coming out all at the same time. I was pretty hyped for this one. There was actually a teaser about these 3 things last week, so we actually saw some in-game screenshots of this, which is very rare and unique. But with all that being said, we can pretty much just jump into the video. Before that, I'll just chill out. If you guys do enjoy the content, you can subscribe. I've been really trying to push towards 250,000 subscribers recently, and we are getting very close at this point. So let's start things off with the cheapest of the bunch, and that's with the anti-material rifle. This is going to run you 400 Creation Club credits, which roughly translates to about $4, but remind you, the smallest bundle of credits you can actually buy is 800 credits, so $8. It's going to add in the anti-material rifle that you knew and loved from Fallout New Vegas back into Fallout 4 with kind of its own take on it. It's very similar to the one in Fallout New Vegas, but it definitely is not a one-to-one replica, which I have no problem with. In order to get this one, you're actually going to have to do a quest, and it was a very well done quest. Like, just from the first instance of this quest, going to the first location it brings you, I was immediately sucked in. I wanted to find out more. It leaves notes throughout the quest, giving you a backstory of what happens and the characters involved in it. And even though it is just a very simple quest going from point A to B to C, I really enjoyed it, and I was excited to find out what happened at the next step, what I would find at the next location. This is a great example of what I'd love to see more of in Creation Club. It's simple, but it made getting this weapon way more memorable and make it just feel a little bit more special. Unfortunately, the weapon itself isn't quite up to the same par as the quest to get it. Now, don't get me wrong, the weapon looks good. It definitely has a nice texture. After completing the quest, you can actually buy a custom variant, this featuring a different texture and a different legendary effect. The default one actually has a legendary effect where you do more damage to humans, which obviously is immensely useful in Fallout 4. And there actually are quite a few different customization options, but there is nothing that really made it stand out distinctively. It was like good, but it wasn't great, and at the end of the day, paying $4 for this thing, you would kind of hope for something a little bit better than what you got. So now if you have these credits on your account and you're looking for a new anti-material rifle, I would definitely say this is a good option. Again, you could change the barrel, there's a few different custom slides, custom sounds, which I personally found to just sound way too weak. This is meant to be a 50 caliber anti-material rifle, and maybe I'm just brainwashed from media to think these types of things should sound loud, but at the same time it's a video game and I expected it to sound more powerful and loud than it did. In conclusion, I really just felt like this one was a mixed bag. The gun is pretty good. It's not great. I definitely found myself being disappointed at the end of the day. There aren't a ton of free alternatives for this, so I could see why people would be attracted to it, but at the same time, I imagine as soon as one free alternative comes out, it's going to render this null and just make it not worth the $4. So moving on, we actually do have the NUKA-COLA Collector Workshop. So this one had a quest also, but it was like a joke. I really didn't understand the quest at all. It like had you go to this location, the new something cafe, and I found the key at a different location that was actually involved in one of the quests for the anti-material rifle. Whatever, I don't know. There was a quest, it was really simple, and it basically just took you to the location. There's nothing special about it in the slightest. And something quite distinctive about this workshop pack versus a lot of the other ones in Creation Club is it actually adds in a new player home. So everything you're seeing in the background is just me walking in and finding my new player home. You open the door and suddenly this place is yours, including everything within it. As you can probably tell, a lot of the stuff you're seeing in the background is actually the content from this workshop pack. I really like this. It was like a nice showcase of everything you just bought. Fortunately, it isn't everything. There actually is a bit more added in, but largely it's everything you're seeing in the background except a different theme. So like maybe you'll have a regular NUKA-COLA stool, but there's also a NUKA-COLA quantum stool. This thing is pretty expansive. It definitely adds in quite a few different things, whether it be stools, clocks, curtains, beds, plants, and other minor accessories. But one thing that was actually pretty cool is it added in these little bobbleheads that were like NUKA-COLA limited edition bobbleheads. I don't know what it was about these, but I really like them. I thought they were pretty cool and something that I could definitely find myself just using as a prop to put somewhere. But I actually say this was my least favorite thing out of this bundle, and I don't use workshop mode pretty much ever at this point. I only use sim settlements, but at 500 Creation Club credits, this is not worth the money, I don't think at all. I also have a number of gripes with the actual creation itself. In Fallout 4, it has like this system where every settlement you get, pretty much you have to work for in some way. This one, you didn't have to do anything. You just had to get the key, walk in, and you got all of this great stuff. It really felt like it was almost like pay to win. I would rather have maybe an enemy to take down or some kind of challenge or cost associated with getting to this location, not just walking to point A to point B. In addition, I'm not sure if this is just laziness or an oversight, but the decorations added in through this pack don't give happiness. That's super minor, but again, this is meant to be kind of something official from Bethesda, and like a plant from default Fallout 4 does give happiness, but from this pack it doesn't give happiness. Why? Like, that just makes no sense to me. If you actually compare this to that donut pack that we got a while ago, it's just not worth the money at all. It seems like they put way too much value into this player home location that isn't all that great. It's kind of a hole in the wall. It's something that a free mod will add in very easily. The donut pack also added in a bunch of new crafting tables, new foods for you to eat, and even a power armor paint job, in addition to all the standard workshop materials like this one. If you really want to build like one NUKA-COLA bar in Creation Club, sure, buy this one, but that's really all you're going to get out of it. I personally think it is not worth the $5 at all. Maybe at 300 credits it would be a much better deal, but at the current 500 credits I would just give this a hard pass and buy something like the donut pack instead. So then finally, what I think is the most expensive thing in Creation Club right now, that's going to be Captain Cosmos. That's going to come in at 700 Creation Club credits, but again, you have to buy a bundle for 800. I was very excited for this one because it adds in a new power armor, a new armor, and a new weapon, in addition to a quest to get all of this. So the way this mod works is after downloading it, you're going to have to go to the set of Captain Cosmos, a very popular pre-war TV show. This is another example of a really cool quest. There was a backstory, a lore. As you explored what was like the production studio, you could read through the terminals and find out some of the issues they had. Like at the entry terminal, you find out that one of the prop guns was actually loaded and someone got shot in the stomach and how they were trying to cover that up. It's little messages like that and a bit of a backstory that I felt like made this one feel particularly special, in addition to giving you a new location with a number of different rooms and kind of things to explore. This one was particularly cool, and something else it added in that was interesting is like this little machine where you can actually submit Captain Cosmos board games to get certain things in return. So you could get a power armor piece, the weapon added in by this, the armor added in by this. You could also get all of the same things just by doing the quest, but if you wanted duplicates, you'd have to go through this method. And you actually had a holotape, not quest markers, where you had to go to certain locations around the Commonwealth to find these board games to unlock these things. You could find some on the set, but they were also scattered around again in a bunch of other locations. I really like this, and although I personally didn't go through and do it, it seems like some people will really enjoy doing that, and it adds, you know, a lot of extra gameplay to this. But at the same time, you do get a tangible reward with an additional version of the weapon, armor, or power armor. Speaking of, if we actually look at the 3 new things added in by this, the armor is a complete joke. It seems like one of those things where they just like wanted to check the box that it added a new armor, but you know, you could just throw it away. It looks pretty basic. Maybe if you like the aesthetic, it's good for you, but otherwise it has a legendary effect of making you jump higher, which is kind of cool, but you don't even jump that much higher. And you can change the color of it, which, huge nitpick here, you can't change the color of the costume to match the default color of the power armor and gun. Like the power armor and gun added in by this actually have like this cool white paint job, and you can't make the armor look the same way, which I just found annoying. The gun added in by this one's actually pretty cool. It has like the standard, you could change the receiver, you could change the stock, you could change the textures, but in addition, it actually has 3 quite distinctive barrel types. So when you get it, it will have the cryo barrel, which is basically the cryolator. You can also put on a laser barrel, which is again like every other laser in Fallout 4. And then finally the pulse barrel, which isn't unique, but still is way more interesting and way more fun. It's actually going to have like a knockback effect on enemies, and if you spam fire this thing, it is super broken, and again, just a lot of fun to use. I would even go as far to say that this thing has more value within it than the anti-material rifle, which is its own standalone weapon. The anti-material rifle definitely looks better, but as far as the customization and honestly even just the fun you can have with it, I think this cosmic rifle is a bit better. And of course, finally we do have the power armor, this being like the premier aspect of this creation. It's good. It has all the same paint jobs as the regular rifle, so you could actually be matching if you want to. But in addition, it just kind of looks high quality. It's quite distinctive from a lot of the other power armors, this one being a bit more cartoonish, but it was actually made for like space. And with that in mind, it does kind of look fitting for that role. As well as it does feature a totally custom jetpack, which again, I think looks really high quality and coupled with the rifle just goes together really nice. I think overall this one might not be worth it, but relative to the other things in Creation Club, this is definitely going to be one of the better bargains. You get a pretty interesting quest and story with a lot of funny elements to it, as well as a really cool weapon and power armor for you to use, and I think this is actually getting pretty close to an example of the kind of stuff I want to see from Creation Club. Yeah, it's more expensive at 700 credits, but there's also a lot more value within this. It still doesn't really stand up to some of the major DLCs for Fallout 4, but again, compared to a lot of the other Creation Club releases, this is going to be one of the better ones and worth your money. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and actually just something I kind of wanted to say quickly. If you guys didn't know, Total Biscuit passed away yesterday. He got diagnosed with cancer quite a few years ago, and I just kind of wanted to talk about it a little bit at the end of this video. He was actually a huge inspiration to me as a creator. Like growing up in general, I was always watching his WTF Is series. Obviously my channel is quite distinctively different from his, but I always admired like how it just seemed like he could talk and it came out so well. Like in my videos, I basically talk in little bursts so I could kind of edit what I'm saying, and his ability to actually just talk consecutively like that really was inspiring to me, and it made me want to improve my commentary style. That of course all in addition to the fact that he was a major voice for consumer rights in gaming, and you know, you kind of always expected a pretty true or blunt opinion from him with his videos, which is so rare nowadays. I feel like with his death, the gaming community really did lose a great voice and just one of the great creators over the years, and it's definitely a pretty sad day for the community as a whole. And even if you didn't watch his videos directly or weren't a fan of him directly, his impact was much wider than that. Either way, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. As always, again, I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.